Admiral stood on the bridge of his massive ship, looking at the screens that showed a small blue planet far away. His 4 eyes moved slowly as he read the reports his scouts had sent back. Earth, they called it, the 3rd planet from a yellow star in a quiet part of the galaxy. They had been watching this world for 3 months now. Their invisible ships floated in the dark space beyond the planet's moons, recording everything. What they saw made shake his head in what his people showed as disgust. These humans were barely more than animals. They still burned fossil fuels to power their machines. They fought wars with metal bullets and chemical explosives. Their fastest ships moved slower than a cargo vessel. Most shocking of all, they had not even left their own solar system yet. Commander Ox called to his second-in-command. The younger officer approached with quick steps. "Yes, Admiral. What is our final assessment of this, Earth?" Ox checked his data pad. The species shows basic tool use and primitive electronics. They have discovered nuclear fission but use it mainly for weapons rather than proper energy production. Their mathematics are correct but very simple. They have no unified government and fight constantly among themselves. His mouth opened slightly, showing his sharp teeth. This was how his people smiled, though humans would find it frightening. And their space capabilities. Barely worth mentioning, sir. Chemical rockets that can barely reach their own moon. They have sent a few small robots to nearby planets, but nothing more. No faster-than-light travel. No energy shields. No plasma weapons. They are at least 500 years behind our current technology. The Admiral walked to the large window that showed the black space around them. In the distance, Earth looked like a tiny blue dot. Perfect. Begin the standard 100-year observation protocol. We will study their development and plan our approach. Admiral, with respect, do we really need a full century? We could conquer this world with just 10 ships. Turned back to his officer. That kind of thinking destroyed the Empire, Commander. Remember your history lessons. We do not rush. We watch, we learn, we plan, and then we act. The hegemony has conquered 200 worlds this way. We will not change our methods for some primitive mammals. Ox bowed his head. Of course, Admiral, I will begin setting up the long-range monitoring stations. Far below on Earth, Dr. Sarah was having the worst day of her career. The radio telescopes at the International Space Monitoring Facility had detected something that should not exist. Strange signals were coming from empty space near Jupiter. The signals lasted only seconds, but they showed patterns too complex to be natural. Sarah stared at the computer screen for the 100th time that day. The data made no sense. Radio waves were appearing from locations where no ships or satellites existed. The waves showed signs of intelligence, but they used mathematical systems that human science had never seen before. Doctor, her assistant, knocked on her office door. "The committee is ready for your report." Sarah saved her files and walked to the conference room. 12 of the world's top scientists sat around a long table. Representatives from NASA, the European Space Agency, Russia's space program, and China's space administration all waited for her presentation. "Ladies and," Sarah began, "we have a problem. 3 days ago, our deep space monitoring systems detected artificial signals coming from the outer solar system. These signals show clear signs of intelligence, but they are not from any human source." Dr. Martinez from NASA leaned forward. "Are you suggesting alien contact?" "I am suggesting that something is watching us. The signals we detected appear to be scanning transmissions. Someone or something is studying Earth from a distance." The room fell silent. Doctor from Russia was the first to speak. "What do you recommend?" Sarah had thought about this moment for 3 days. "We need to prepare. We don't know who they are or what they want. But if they are watching us secretly, they probably do not plan to introduce themselves peacefully." "That seems like a large assumption," Doctor from China said. "Maybe, but history shows us that when a more advanced civilization meets a less advanced one, the results are usually bad for the less advanced group. We need to assume the worst and hope for the best." Dr. Martinez nodded slowly. "What kind of preparation are you talking about?" Sarah pulled up a new presentation on the screen. "First, we need to create a secret research program. If these aliens have been watching us, they know about our current technology. We need to develop new systems that they have not seen. Second, we need to do this without leaving any electromagnetic signatures that they could detect. Third, we need to work together as one planet, not as competing nations." The committee members looked at each other. This was the kind of decision that could change the course of human history. "The evidence is strong enough," Doctor finally said. "Russia will participate. China will also join this effort," Doctor added. One by one, the other representatives agreed. Dr. Martinez spoke for the group. "Doctor, you will lead this project. We will provide you with unlimited funding and our best scientists. But this must remain completely secret. If these aliens are watching our communications, they cannot know what we are planning." Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. "I understand. We will call it Project Silent Shield. Our goal is simple: be ready for anything." 3 days later, Doctor stood in an underground facility that officially did not exist. The world's greatest minds in physics, engineering, and computer science had already begun arriving. They came from every country, bringing their knowledge together for the first time in human history. In the space above Earth, Admiral's monitoring stations continued their quiet work. They recorded human television broadcasts, monitored internet traffic, and tracked the progress of human technology. Everything they saw confirmed their initial assessment. The humans were advancing slowly and predictably. Their computer systems improved every few years. Their space technology developed at a steady but unremarkable pace. Their weapons remained crude and primitive. The Admiral was confident that in 100 years, when the fleet finally arrived, they would find Earth exactly as expected. A planet full of slightly more advanced humans, still using chemical rockets and metal bullets, ready to surrender when faced with superior alien technology. He had no idea that deep underground, humanity's minds were already working on technologies that would have shocked even the real human story was just beginning, hidden in the darkness where alien eyes could not see. 50 years had passed since Dr. Sarah first detected the alien signals. She was now an old woman, but her work continued through her daughter, Dr. Lisa, who had taken over Project Silent Shield. The underground facility had grown into a massive complex that stretched for miles beneath the Earth's surface. Thousands of scientists from every country worked there, connected by quantum communication systems that left no trace for alien sensors to detect. Above ground, the world continued as normal. Humans built better computers, developed cleaner energy, and slowly expanded their presence in space. To any outside observer, human technology was advancing exactly as expected for a primitive species. But below ground, a different story was unfolding. Dr. Lisa walked through Laboratory 7, where her team had just achieved something that should have been impossible. They had created the first working consciousness-guided artificial intelligence. Unlike normal computers that followed programmed instructions, this AI system was connected directly to human thought patterns. "Show me the test results," Lisa said to Doctor, the lead researcher. Pulled up holographic displays that appeared in the air without any projectors. "The AI responds to conscious intention rather than voice commands or keyboards. When the operator simply thinks about what they want the system to do, it happens instantly. And the alien monitoring systems cannot detect any of it. The consciousness interface uses quantum entanglement patterns that produce no electromagnetic signatures. As far as any external scanner can tell, this room is empty." Lisa nodded. This was exactly what they needed. Over the past 50 years, Project Silent Shield had developed dozens of technologies that worked on principles the aliens had never seen. In Laboratory 12, Dr. James was testing the latest metamaterial cloaking system. Unlike old science fiction stories about invisible ships, this technology actually bent spacetime around objects, making them exist in a slightly different dimension. "Computer, begin test sequence," James said to the air. A large spacecraft in the center of the laboratory simply vanished, not just from sight, but from all forms of detection. Radar, heat sensors, gravity detectors, and even direct observation showed only empty space. "Duration?" James asked. "The ship has been in parallel dimension state for 6 hours with no power drain," the AI responded directly into his mind. "All systems remain fully operational." Meanwhile, in Laboratory 3, Dr. Raj was working on the most dangerous project of all, weaponized gravity manipulation. Using equations that human scientists had developed in secret, his team had learned to create localized gravity fields strong enough to crush starships. "Begin small-scale test," Raj said. A metal cube the size of a car sat in the center of a heavily shielded chamber. Raj activated the gravity weapon from a safe distance. The cube instantly collapsed into a point smaller than a grain of sand. The gravity field lasted only 1 second, but in that time, it had compressed solid steel into a tiny black dot. Successful test number 412, the AI recorded. Scaling up to ship-sized targets is now possible. Dr. Lisa received reports from all the laboratories every day. The progress amazed even her. Humanity was developing technologies that worked on completely different principles than anything the aliens knew about. The consciousness-guided computers could think faster than any normal AI because they used human intuition and creativity. The metamaterial ships could appear anywhere without warning because they traveled through dimensions that aliens could not detect. The gravity weapons could destroy any material object by compressing it out of existence. But the most important development was happening in Laboratory 1, where Doctor was working on something called the Reality Anchor System. Doctor said during their weekly meeting, "I think we have solved the faster-than-light travel problem." Lisa raised her eyebrows. "The aliens use hyperspace drives. We have studied their energy signatures." "Yes, but hyperspace is just one layer of reality. We have found 17 different dimensional layers that exist parallel to normal space. We can move our ships through these layers instantly, appearing anywhere in the galaxy without using hyperspace at all." "Show me." Activated a small demonstration device. A toy spacecraft disappeared from one side of the room and instantly appeared on the other side. But according to all sensors, the ship had never moved through the space in between. "The ship traveled through dimension layer 7, explained. From the perspective of normal space, it teleported instantly. But from the ship's perspective, it simply moved from one location to another through a different layer of reality. And the aliens cannot detect this travel method. They have no idea these other dimensions exist. Their science is very advanced, but it follows traditional physics. They never imagined that reality has multiple layers that can be accessed separately." Above ground, the monitoring stations continued recording human progress. They saw improvements in computer technology, advances in space travel, and development of fusion power. Everything seemed normal and predictable. Admiral, now very old even by standards, reviewed the latest reports from Earth. His grandchild, Commander, had taken over most of the daily operations. "Grandfather, the humans continue advancing as expected," reported. "They now have crewed fusion reactors and have established small colonies on their moon and Mars. Their computer systems are more sophisticated, but still based on traditional electronics." Looked at the data. Any signs of advanced weapons development? "None that we can detect. They still use chemical propulsion for their spacecraft and conventional weapons for warfare. Some of their nuclear weapons are more powerful, but nothing that would threaten a fleet." "Good, continue monitoring. In another 50 years, we will begin final preparations for conquest." But the old admiral was wrong. Deep underground, humanity was not just preparing to defend Earth. They were preparing to change the entire balance of power in the galaxy. Dr. Lisa, now in her 70s, called a meeting of the project leaders. Representatives from every laboratory gathered in the main conference room. "Ladies and," she began, "we have spent 100 years preparing for this moment. Our children's children will face the alien invasion. Are we ready?" Doctor spoke first. "The consciousness-guided AI systems are fully operational. We can control entire fleets with thought-speed responses." Doctor nodded. "The metamaterial ships are invisible to all known detection methods. We can position our forces anywhere without being seen." Doctor added, "The gravity weapons can destroy any material object, regardless of size or composition." Doctor smiled. "And the Reality Anchor System can lock enemy ships in normal space, preventing them from escaping to hyperspace." Lisa looked around the room at the faces of humanity's greatest minds. "Then we are ready. When the aliens come, they will face an Earth they never imagined possible." In space, the monitoring stations continued their watch, completely unaware that humanity had already surpassed them in almost every area of technology. The hunters were about to discover that their prey had become the predators. The stage was set for the greatest surprise in galactic history. The space around Earth's outer solar system suddenly filled with massive alien ships. One moment the darkness was empty, and the next moment 10,000 vessels hung in the void like sleeping giants. Their hulls gleamed with strange metals, and energy fields danced around their weapons. Admiral stood on the bridge of the flagship Destroyer of Worlds, feeling proud of the moment her family had worked toward for a century. She was the granddaughter of the Great, and today she would complete his mission. "All ships report ready status," her communications officer announced. "Excellent. Begin standard scanning of the target world. I want to confirm that the humans remain as primitive as our reports indicate." The alien scanners swept across Earth and its surrounding space. They detected the usual signs of human civilization: radio signals, spacecraft moving between Earth and Mars, energy emissions from cities and factories. Everything appeared exactly as the expected. "Reports, commanded. The humans show no significant advancement beyond our predictions," the science officer replied. "They have established small colonies on their moon and Mars, but their technology remains crude. Chemical rockets, basic fusion power, primitive computers. We detect no defensive installations and no military spacecraft." Smiled, showing her sharp teeth. "Perfect. They will surrender immediately when they see our superior force. Begin broadcasting the standard surrender demand." On Earth, Admiral sat in the command center of humanity's secret defense network. At 60 years old, she was the great-granddaughter of Dr. Sarah and had spent her entire life preparing for this moment. Around her, hundreds of officers monitored displays that showed the alien fleet. But these were not ordinary displays. The consciousness-guided AI systems provided information directly into the minds of the operators, creating a perfect understanding of the tactical situation. "Admiral," her tactical officer reported through the mental link, "the alien fleet consists of 10,847 vessels. They are arranging themselves in standard conquest formation. No signs that they detect our ghost fleet." Smiled, humanity's invisible ships were already in position around the alien fleet. 300 vessels that existed partially outside normal space, armed with weapons that the aliens could not even imagine. The alien surrender demand came exactly as expected. Admiral's image appeared on communication screens around the world, though she had no idea that her message was being intercepted and analyzed by quantum computers hidden deep underground. "Primitive inhabitants of Earth," announced, "I am Admiral of the Hegemony. Your world is now under our protection. You have 24 hours to surrender completely and prepare for integration into our empire. If you resist, we will demonstrate why resistance is futile. This is your only warning." The message ended, and the world's leaders gathered in emergency sessions, but already knew what humanity's response would be. She activated the Reality Anchor communication system, which allowed her to speak from the bridge of the Invisible Hand, humanity's flagship, that existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously. Admiral's voice came from apparently empty space, causing confusion on the alien bridge. "This is Admiral of the Solar Defense Force. Thank you for the century you gave us to prepare." Stared at her screens in shock. Her sensors showed no source for the transmission. No ship, no space station, nothing. The human voice seemed to come from nowhere. "Identify yourself," demanded. "Show yourself or we will begin our attack immediately." "You have been watching us for 100 years, replied calmly. "You studied our movies, our television shows, our public technology. You saw us fight each other with sticks and stones and assumed that was all we could do. But you missed something important." "What are you talking about?" His voice showed the first hint of uncertainty. "You watched us tell stories about fighting monsters, aliens, robots, and gods. You thought these were just entertainment. But we were actually teaching ourselves how to fight anything that might threaten us, including you." On her bridge, activated the tactical display that showed the real situation. Every alien ship was surrounded by human vessels that the aliens could not detect. Gravity weapons were already targeted on critical points of the alien fleet. Reality anchors were ready to prevent any escape to hyperspace. "You prepared for a century to conquer a primitive world," continued. "We prepared for a century to destroy anyone who tried to conquer us. Let me show you the difference." She gave a simple mental command to her AI systems: "Begin demonstration." Across the alien fleet, impossible things began happening. Energy fields that they had never seen before started appearing around their ships. Gravity readings spiked in ways that violated the laws of physics as the aliens understood them. "Admiral," science officer shouted in panic. "I'm detecting massive energy signatures, but they're coming from empty space. Our sensors show nothing, but something is definitely out there." "Impossible," snapped. "Increase scanning power." "Already at maximum. The signals are—" "They're not following normal physics. They're appearing in dimensions that shouldn't exist." His voice came again, still from apparently nowhere. "You scan for electromagnetic signatures, heat emissions, and gravitational distortions. But our ships don't use any of those technologies. We learn to work with consciousness, parallel dimensions, and direct manipulation of spacetime itself." A holographic image suddenly appeared on the alien bridge, showing a human woman in a military uniform sitting in what looked like the command center of an advanced starship. "Admiral, meet the invisible hand. She exists in normal space, parallel space, quantum space, and 4 other dimensional layers simultaneously. Your weapons cannot hit her because she's never entirely in the same reality as your shots." Stared at the impossible sight. This technology should not exist." "Should not exist according to your science," corrected. "We develop different science. When you know that a more advanced enemy is coming, you have 2 choices: accept defeat or become more advanced than your enemy. We chose option 2. Around the alien fleet, more human ships began partially materializing, appearing as ghostly outlines that flickered between visible and invisible. Each ship was larger than anything in the fleet, and their weapon signatures registered as completely unknown energy types. "You have 10,000 ships," observed. "We have 300, but numbers do not matter when you cannot hit what you cannot perceive, and we can hit you from dimensions you cannot access." "This is impossible," repeated. "No species develops technology this advanced in such a short time." Smile was visible on the holographic display. "No species has ever been watched by aliens for a century while knowing they were being watched. You gave us the greatest gift possible, time to prepare and motivation to surpass you." She stood up from her command chair. "You came here expecting to conquer a primitive world. Instead, you have encountered humanity at war. We are very good at war, Admiral. We have been practicing on each other for thousands of years." The tactical displays on its bridge showed that every human ship was in optimal position. The gravity weapons were charged and ready. The reality anchors were prepared to lock the alien fleet in normal space. The consciousness-guided AI systems had already calculated the optimal strategy for complete victory. "Admiral," said formally, "you have 30 seconds to order your fleet to surrender and withdraw from this solar system. If you refuse, we will demonstrate why underestimating human creativity is the last mistake your people will ever make." The silence stretched between the 2 fleets. 10,000 alien ships faced 300 human vessels they could barely detect. The most advanced military force in history was about to learn that advancement is relative. Looked around her bridge at officers whose training had never prepared them for this moment. In 30 seconds, she would have to make the most important decision in her species' history. The countdown began. Admiral made her choice. "All ships attack Pattern 7, destroy these humans." Had expected this response. Through her mental link with the AI systems, she gave a single thought: execute Plan Alpha. The battle began. The first minute passed like a nightmare for the fleet. Their sensors detected massive energy discharges all around them, but they could not identify the sources. Human weapons appeared inside alien ships without warning, materializing directly through hull armor that should have been impenetrable. The weapons themselves were unlike anything they had ever seen. Instead of energy beams or projectiles, they converted matter directly into energy at the molecular level. Alien ships simply began dissolving from the inside out, their hulls turning into brilliant light as the molecular bonds were broken apart. "Report," shouted as alarms blared across her bridge. "We have lost 400 ships in the first minute," her tactical officer screamed. "The attacks are coming from inside our vessels. Something is bypassing our shields completely." "How is that possible?" "I don't know. The weapons appear to be materializing in parallel dimensions, and then shifting into our reality inside our hulls." Watched in horror as more of her ships began glowing and dissolving. The human weapons worked so fast that alien crews barely had time to send distress signals before their vessels were converted into pure energy. The second minute brought a new terror. The fleet tried to return fire, targeting the areas where human energy signatures appeared strongest. Their plasma cannons and particle beams lanced out toward the enemy positions. Every shot passed harmlessly through empty space. "The humans are using some kind of dimensional phasing," the science officer reported. "Our weapons are hitting the correct coordinates, but the targets exist partially outside normal space. It's like trying to shoot ghosts." At the same time, gravitational anomalies began appearing throughout the formation. Massive gravity wells materialized without warning, creating forces strong enough to crush starships like empty cans. The gravity weapons were favorite creation. They did not fire projectiles or energy beams. Instead, they created localized areas where gravity became thousands of times stronger than normal. Ships caught in these fields were compressed into tiny balls of superdense metal in seconds. "Admiral," the communications officer called out, "the gravity distortions are moving. They're chasing our ships." Watched as one of her heavy cruisers tried to escape a gravity field. The invisible force followed the ship like a living thing, getting closer and closer until it finally caught the fleeing vessel. The cruiser collapsed into a point of light and disappeared. The third minute brought the aliens' first attempt at escape. Gave the emergency order that no admiral ever wanted to give. "All ships, retreat to hyperspace. Emergency jump now." The reality anchors activated. Across the alien fleet, ships tried to open hyperspace portals to escape. The portals began forming, showing the swirling energy patterns that would allow faster-than-light travel. Then, one by one, the portals collapsed. "What's happening?" demanded. "The hyperspace fields are being disrupted. Something is locking us in normal space." His voice came through the communication system again, still calm and controlled. "Did you think we would let you escape to bring reinforcements? We developed reality anchor technology specifically to prevent hyperspace jumps. You're staying right here until this is finished." The consciousness-guided AI systems were working with perfect efficiency. They predicted every move the aliens would make and countered it instantly. When ships tried to form defensive formations, human gravity weapons appeared exactly where the formations would be weakest. When alien vessels attempted to retreat, reality anchors locked them in place. The fourth minute saw the fleet's most desperate gambit. With half their ships already destroyed and escape impossible, ordered her remaining forces to concentrate all their firepower on a single area of space. "All ships, maximum firepower at coordinates 77 Mark 12. If we cannot see them, we will destroy the entire area." Thousands of energy weapons fired simultaneously at the same location. The combined firepower was enough to destroy an entire planet. Space itself seemed to burn as plasma beams, particle cannons, and fusion missiles converged on one point. For a moment, it seemed like the plan might work. Human ships began flickering into visibility as the massive energy barrage disrupted their dimensional phasing systems. Then the human counterattack began. Gravity pulse weapons activated across the human fleet. Instead of creating localized gravity wells, these weapons sent waves of gravitational force through space itself. The waves passed through the ships like invisible tsunamis, and everywhere they touched, alien vessels were crushed flat. In 10 seconds, 2,000 alien ships were compressed into metal discs thinner than paper. The fifth minute brought the aliens' final desperate move. With most of their fleet destroyed and their weapons useless, the surviving ships released their planetary killing weapons toward Earth. These were biological weapons designed to destroy all life on a planet's surface. Clouds of deadly microorganisms spread out from the alien ships, moving toward Earth at incredible speed. Even if the human fleet won the battle, their planet would die. Had been waiting for this moment. Activate planetary shield. Around Earth, something impossible became visible. A shell of metamaterial energy appeared around the entire planet, existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The biological weapons hit the shield and were reflected back toward their sources like light bouncing off a mirror. The deadly clouds returned to the alien ships that had launched them. In seconds, the remaining vessels were consumed by their own biological weapons, their hulls eaten away by the microorganisms they had planned to use on humanity. The sixth minute saw the end of everything they had built. Only Admiral's flagship remained intact, protected by the most advanced shields her people had ever created. Opened a direct communication channel to the alien bridge. Admiral, your fleet is destroyed. Your biological weapons have been turned back on you. Your hyperspace drives are locked down. You have one ship left out of 10,000. Looked around her bridge at the faces of her surviving crew. Fear and shock were written on every alien face. In 6 minutes, the greatest military force in history had been completely annihilated by an enemy they had never even been able to see clearly. How was all she could manage to say. Your people spent a century watching our movies and television shows, explained. You saw us fight each other with primitive weapons and assumed that was the extent of our capabilities, but you never understood what those stories were really teaching us. What do you mean? We were learning to fight everything. Every monster, alien, robot, and god we could imagine. Every impossible enemy, every overwhelming threat, every scenario where survival seemed impossible. We spent thousands of years telling ourselves stories about how to win against superior forces. Its image appeared on the alien bridge one final time. When we knew you were coming, we didn't just prepare to fight your technology. We prepared to fight any technology that could possibly exist. We developed weapons that work outside the laws of physics as you understand them. We created ships that exist in realities you didn't know were possible. The last human weapons appeared around its flagship. Matter conversion beams began slowly dissolving the ship's outer hull. Your mistake was thinking that a species' current visible technology represents their maximum potential, said. Humans are very good at hiding our true capabilities until we need them, and we are extremely good at exceeding what anyone thinks is possible. The flagship's shields failed. The matter conversion beams reached the ship's core systems. Admiral, said formally, in memory of the century your people gave us to prepare, I offer you this final piece of information. Earth is now under the protection of technologies that exist beyond conventional physics. Tell any survivors of your people that humanity is no longer a primitive species to be conquered. The last ship dissolved into light, and the battle was over. In 6 minutes, humanity had announced its arrival as a galactic power. The silence after the battle was profound. Where 10,000 alien ships had hung in space, only drifting debris remained. The wreckage glowed softly as the last traces of matter conversion energy faded away. Admiral sat in her command chair aboard the Invisible Hand, watching the cleanup operations begin. Human ships materialized from their dimensional hiding places, no longer needing to remain hidden. For the first time in over a century, humanity's true technological capabilities were about to be revealed to the world. On Earth, the secret was finally coming out. President Martinez stood before the United Nations General Assembly, preparing to make the most important announcement in human history. Behind her, screens showed images of the human fleet that had just saved the planet. Ladies and, she began, for the past 100 years our species has been preparing for this day. Today, I can finally tell you the truth about what humanity has become. The audience sat in stunned silence as the president explained Project Silent Shield, the underground facilities, and the technologies that had been developed in secret. She showed them recordings of the battle, displaying weapons that seemed like magic and ships that existed in multiple dimensions. We are no longer the primitive species we appeared to be, President Martinez continued. Our scientists have learned to manipulate consciousness, gravity, and the fundamental structure of reality itself. We have become something that our ancestors could never have imagined. Dr. James, now the director of the Dimensional Technology Division, stood to address the assembly. The metamaterial ships you see in these recordings can travel instantly to any point in the galaxy. Our weapons can destroy matter at the molecular level or compress it with controlled gravity fields. Our AI systems are guided by human consciousness and can think faster than any conventional computer. The implications were staggering. Humanity had secretly become one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, all while appearing to develop at a normal pace. In the days that followed, the world struggled to understand its new reality. The underground facilities were open to the public for the first time. People walked through laboratories where scientists had learned to bend the laws of physics and create technologies that seemed impossible. But the most shocking discovery was yet to come. Dr. Lisa, now elderly but still sharp, led a team of scientists in examining the wreckage of the alien fleet. What they found changed everything humanity thought about galactic civilization. Admiral, Doctor called through the quantum communication system. "You need to see this immediately." Materialized in the laboratory using a personal dimensional transport device. The technology allowed her to step through a portal and instantly appear anywhere in the solar system. "What have you found?" asked. Doctor gestured to a series of displays showing data recovered from the alien computers. Though we're not the most advanced species in the galaxy, they were actually quite primitive compared to what we have become. Explain. Their faster-than-light travel uses hyperspace, which is a very basic form of dimensional manipulation. We can travel through 17 different dimensional layers. Their weapons are plasma-based and kinetic-based, following traditional physics. Our weapons work by rewriting the laws of physics in localized areas. Studied the data. Are you saying that our technology is superior to anything else in the galaxy? Not just superior, revolutionary. No other species has ever developed consciousness-guided systems or learned to manipulate multiple dimensional layers simultaneously. We have accidentally become the most advanced civilization in known space. The revelation was overwhelming. Humanity had prepared to defend themselves against a superior enemy, only to discover that they had surpassed every other species in the galaxy. But Doctor had more to show her. "Admiral, look at this communication log we recovered from their flagship." The display showed intercepted messages between the fleet and their home world. But there were also messages from dozens of other worlds, all calling for help. "The hegemony has been conquering primitive worlds for centuries," Doctor explained. "But they are not the only ones. There are at least 12 different spacefaring civilizations in this part of the galaxy, and most of them are engaged in conquering less advanced species." Felt a cold anger growing inside her. How many worlds are under attack right now? According to these records, 47 worlds are currently being invaded by various alien empires. Most of the species being attacked have no way to defend themselves. Looked at the star maps showing the locations of these attacks. Innocent civilizations were being destroyed while she stood in this laboratory. The same thing that had almost happened to Earth was happening to dozens of other worlds. "Doctor," said quietly, "how long would it take to modify our ships for extended galactic operations?" The scientist understood immediately what was thinking. The Invisible Hand and her sister ships are already equipped for unlimited range operations. We could reach any of these threatened worlds within hours using our dimensional jump technology. Opened a communication channel to the Solar Defense Command. "This is Admiral. Prepare all fleet units for immediate deployment. We have work to do." Within hours, the human fleet was ready for operations that would have seemed impossible just days before. 300 ships that existed partially outside normal space, armed with weapons that could rewrite physics itself, commanded by consciousness-guided AI systems that could think at the speed of thought. Stood on her bridge as the Invisible Hand prepared for its first humanitarian mission. On the screens around her, star maps showed the locations of worlds under attack by alien empires that believed they were the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "All ships, this is Admiral," broadcast to the human fleet. "For a century, we prepared to defend our world from aliens who thought they could conquer us because we seemed primitive. We won that battle in 6 minutes." The fleet commanders listened through their quantum communication links. "Now we know that the same thing is happening to dozens of other worlds. Innocent species are being conquered and destroyed by empires that think advanced technology gives them the right to rule over others." Looked at the star map showing their first destination. A world called 442b, where a species of peaceful traders was being attacked by the Empire. "We are going to teach the galaxy a new lesson," continued. "Advanced technology does not give you the right to conquer others. It gives you the responsibility to protect those who cannot protect themselves." The reality anchors activated, locking the entire human fleet outside normal space. The dimensional jump drives charged up, preparing to move 300 ships instantly across hundreds of light years. Today, humanity stops being the protected and becomes the protectors. All ships, jump to 442b. Let's show these alien empires what happens when they threaten innocent worlds. The human fleet vanished from Earth's solar system, traveling through dimensions that no other species knew existed. They moved toward their first battle as galactic protectors, carrying weapons that could destroy matter itself and ships that existed beyond the reach of conventional physics. Behind them, Earth continued its normal routine, but everything had changed. Humanity was no longer a primitive species hopping to avoid notice. They had become the guardians of galactic civilization, armed with technologies that could protect any world from any threat. The hunters had become the protectors, and the real story of humanity among the stars was just beginning. In the depths of space, alien empires continued their conquests, unaware that